Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend. It's easy for all of us to remember daylight savings time as a benefit in the fall. The old adage, fall back, spring forward. You get an extra hour in your sleep in the fall. But where did we come up with this crazy idea? I mean, where did this really start? Why are we messing with, getting up later, trying to take advantage of it? I understand that the farther you are from the equator, the more benefit you get from daylight savings time because you get more daylight hours in the hours that you would normally be awake. But really, is it worth it? Everything that we do to our bodies to reset our internal clocks 1 hour, one way or the other, twice a year. And the question is, where'd it come from? Well, it actually started in 1916 officially, but Benjamin Franklin thought about it and was the one that really kind of tried to bring it about back in his time as a way to conserve energy. And so here we have one of the first environmentalists, Ben Franklin, trying to get us to do this. But in 1916, the Germans were the ones that brought it about in an effort to conserve resources by doing things during daylight hours. But I mean, come on, guys, is it really worth it? I mean, you go through the effort, and don't get me wrong, my wife absolutely loves this one. It's the other one, the old cause and effect, right? You get this one for free, but the next year or the next time around in 2021, when it comes back and we take it off in March, it actually becomes a problem, right? Because we lose an hour of sleep because now we're supposed to be up an hour early and everybody's kind of stumbling around. I don't know, right? Your guess is as good as mine. What I understand is that I get up at the same time every day, regardless. And that has everything to do with my body and daylight, right? So in the winter, I sleep later, right? I struggle with that. Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, according to my clock, I get that down because my body is really acclimated to the time and where everything is at in relation to daylight. So I do get affected a little bit. I find myself being less productive. I find myself more sluggish in the winter because I'm getting less sunlight. I mean, that's the one beautiful thing about Idaho, guys. If you haven't checked it out, I mean, we get daylight in the summer from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. I mean, it is really a beautiful thing, right? But when I'm here in Puerto Rico, I mean, it's same, right? They don't even do daylight savings time, as does 60% of the world. There's only about 40% of the world that even deals with daylight savings time. And there has been a couple of studies done, including one successful study in the 2000 Olympic Games in Australia, where they tried to observe daylight savings time to help conserve energy during the Olympics. And they found that after 7 years of studying the 2000 Olympics, they came out with it 2007, gee whiz, and said that there was no observation of any energy savings. So there's that. But the reality is we're all well rested. We're heading into Monday, and that's just another silly thing we do. In fact, there's always this quote that gets floated around. It gets attributed to an American Indian that says only the government would believe that you could cut a foot off the top of a blanket, sew it onto the bottom of a blanket to make a longer blanket. Now, I will tell you that if daylight savings time doesn't make sense to you, that quote sure does make sense to you regardless, right? Because those are some of the silly things that we do trying to change our world around us, trying to change our environment to better fit us. We want to wake up. We want 7 o'clock to be light outside. We want to have, I look at the reality of it. Look, if you get up at 6 and it's not light until 7 and you're out until 6 and it stays light until 7, adjust what you do to fit what the time says, right? I mean, that's the story of my life, right? Everything that I do in my life is an adjustment based on what is happening at the time. So I go out, I start a project. We're headed down this road. We encounter some thoughts, some issues, some problems. We fix those problems. We move on to other things. We do other things. And those are the things that we work through, right? So the reality is I understand very, very well what adapting to your surroundings is. But I don't understand why we need everyone in the world to adapt to our surroundings so that we can enjoy an extra hour of daylight. To me, seems maybe a little selfish. But then again, back in 1966, when Congress passed the Universal Time law that put all of the United States on you're on daylight savings time, and then you had Arizona kind of say, nah, we ain't really hanging with that. Puerto Rico said, yeah, no hablo. We don't understand. No comprende, right? They boogied out. And several other places like that. But, the reality is we could take a lesson from anything we look at in our daily lives. And this is one I think you should take a lesson from. Stop trying to make your surroundings perfect. Just deal with them, right? If you want to get up earlier, get up earlier. If you want to stay up later, stay up later. If you want to change your workday from 9 to 5 to 10 to 7, do it. Do what works for you, but don't just go with the flow because that's what everybody tells you to do. Now, if your boss tells you to be there at 6, be there at 6 because that's your agreement with him. But I don't see why it's got to be a certain way just because of the daylight. So those are my random thoughts on this Monday morning. I'm glad you guys all had a great weekend. Look forward to talking to you more soon. Other than that, guys, make it a great week.